Hello explorers, thanks for joining us again and welcome back to another exciting and informative video on our YouTube channel. If you are joining us for the first time, we want to thank you for watching. In this episode, we shall be looking on how trade injustice destroy many emerging economies in the continent of Africa. We will dive deep into this like never before seen. We will explore some very important specifics as to the reason why emerging economies are at the peril of major economies around the world, like the United States, Europe, and other Asian major countries like China, Japan, and other nations. If you consider these particular trade injustices, African countries have no option than to fall into the traps in terms of bilateral negotiations and also import and tariffs in terms of other ways. So without any more delay, let's just dive straight into it. If you draw back during the former United States President's administration, most African countries were in loggerheads in terms of trade wars with the country of the United States of America. If you look at that, the Trump war on trade injustices is quite hypocritical. If you look at that particular instances, the biggest bully as far as trade injustice is concerned is the United States, unfortunately. No continent on earth has suffered from trade injustice more than Africa, and no superpower has bullied Africa in trade deals more than the United States of America. Wherever cheap foreign goods flood local markets, local industries struggles to compete and many local industries go out of business. Once local industries go out of business, local markets become dependent on foreign markets for local products. Foreign markets then regulate trade deals to their advantage, sometimes by raising taxes, duty-free, and so on. This is how the rampant trade injustice in the world market today destroy poor third world countries, and African nations are no exception. Now let's look into how this actually works with regards to the African continent with some specific example. But if you look at the United States of America, the Salvation Army, for example, and some few other goodwill stores are perhaps the only places where people can get second-hand or used goods to buy in the United States, and that's a good news for the economy of the US. These second-hand clothing are not imported. However, this is not the case in Africa. In fact, over 60% of Africa's clothing is second-hand imported. Because the second-hand imported clothing are generally cheaper and more abundantly available than the local fabrics, people tend to buy more second-hand clothes. This creates unnecessary tough competition for local textile industries. Second-hand clothing easily wins the fight as far as prices are easily available and concerns and many local textile industries sadly disappear. This was the main reason why East African countries like Kenya, Burundi, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan announced a ban on import of second-hand clothes. Sadly, however, the Trump administration at the time threatened to retaliate and almost all of them backtracked. If you look at that, somewhere in 2016, drawing back, member states of the East African community came up with a plan to ban second-hand clothes and shoes by 2019 to 2020. The EAC doubled a common external tariff rate for worn clothing of 0.40 cents in United States dollars per kilogram. Rwanda increased it per kilogram import to around $2.5. So to point out, as I mentioned earlier on this particular episode, the main purpose here was to help the local textile industries in East Africa develop and thrive. Sadly, this angered the United States President at the time, Donald Trump, who threatened to retaliate. According to the United States President at the time, the tax goes against African Growth and Opportunity Act. Ironically, the main purpose of AGOA, a piece of legislation that was approved by the United States Congress in May 2000, was to help poor countries evolve. The American Trade Organization, SMART, the Secondary Material and Recycled Textile Association, complained to the United States Trade Representative's Office, claiming the import ban harmed U.S. industry. SMART claimed that at least 40,000 United States-based jobs were at risk, and because of that, the administration of Donald Trump threatened to retaliate. In the end, the US kept the 40,000 US-based jobs, while local African textile industries suffer and continue to do so. There is a similar situation in food and agricultural sector. Because the import of food is on the rise in Africa, competition is getting tighter and many local farmers stand no chance at all. Let's take a small West African nation of Benin with a population of just over 11 million people. For example, in 2016, Benin exported over 1.1 billion and imported 4.7 billion, resulting in negative trade balance of over 3.6 billion. A very significant portion of the imported goods was food and agricultural products. As we all know, Thailand is the second largest rice exporter with over 5-point-something billion in export in recent years. In the world, it may surprise you to know that the small West African country of Benin is the biggest importer of rice from Thailand. Because of this, rice farms in Benin stand no chance at all and may also would have loved to go into rice farming, have given the particular opportunity. Because of this, rice farmers in Benin stand no chance at all, and many who would have loved to go into rice farming have given up the idea. Also, in Benin, chicken is the main source of protein for many people. The sad thing is, however, is that poultry farming is dead in Benin. Why? Well, it is because Benin imports more than 90% of its chicken from countries like France. Someone may ask, why can't the Beninese government place a ban on some of those imports to help local farmers? Well, the answer is simple to above. America, France, and the European Union member countries, China, Thailand, and so on, with trade deals will retaliate. At the end of the day, the superpowers in trade prosper, while poor third world countries like Benin are walloped into poverty. If you consider this particular aspect in saying that some of these countries are entangled themselves in terms of trade, they have a less positive advantage in terms of operating with these major suppliers. The thing is here is you can't just keep blaming the advanced countries that have the opportunity. The developing countries should also figure out a way on surviving, as they should also be looking at their own particular interest and to seeing how they can survive in this globally interconnected world. Hopefully we've been able to inform you with regards to the issues that lies below the surface in terms of trade injustice that has plagued most African nations and those emerging countries around the world. Let us know if your country is involved in these particular trade deals and how you feel your country can come out strongly in terms of those particular negotiations, and so they can become self-sufficient in a number of ways. The Russian-Ukrainian war has taught many emerging countries, especially in Africa, that they cannot just rely on those countries for their supply of food in different ways. I want to thank you for watching. We're looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.